Thank you, Tom, very much. 2 weeks ago, Michael McDaniel went to work at the Natick Department of Public Works, as he had for the last 26 years. He never returned home. He was struck by a vehicle and killed while making repairs to a water line. That same week, Brian Smith was cutting a tree down for a tree company when it fell on him, killing him. The week before, Victor Herrera was crushed to death in a shucking machine while working at a fish processing plant in New Bedford. Nearly every single week in Massachusetts, a worker goes to work and doesn't return home. 10 more die from occupational disease, and 1,000 suffer serious injuries from their work. Behind those numbers are wives and husbands, children and parents who have lost a loved one and a breadwinner. Each year, family members come together from all around the world to commemorate Workers' Memorial Day. In Massachusetts, we hold it on April 28th in Boston at the State House. And family members come to us and say, why did this happen? What can we do to make sure that no other family has to suffer as we have? Well, the first thing we need to do is to stop calling these deaths freak accidents. A freak accident means that it never happened before and it will never happen again. It means we don't need to look at what happened and why. It means we don't need to figure out what can be done to prevent it in the future. And we know that when federal OSHA investigates or the state investigates, there's always safety measures that could be incorporated that would save lives. The second thing we can do is to make sure that employers are doing everything possible to promote safe, healthy workplaces. The Boston Global Forum has initiated this effort to look at these best practices so that we can prevent injuries and deaths. So the question is, what are we looking for? Well, I'll begin by sharing a story of something that we see often at Mascosh. We have what's called a worker center and are part of the Immigrant Worker Center Collaborative, where very low-wage workers come to us because they've either suffered an injury or because they have very dangerous conditions. And this gentleman, Patrick, has a story that's so common that unfortunately we see all the time. He was working on roofs across Greater Boston, repairing homes, and working at great heights, although the employer failed to provide him with a harness or other safety measures that would protect him and his coworkers. A day laborer, desperate to ensure that he kept his job, he didn't feel he was in a position to speak up and question whether or not the employer was complying with OSHA or other measures. And one day he fell from the second story, and he severely injured his back and legs. Instead of the employer immediately taking him to the hospital, he brought him to his home and changed his clothes to make sure he wasn't wearing his work clothes. He had his wife bring him to the hospital and claim that he was in fact up in a tree trying to save a cat. This is a story of the opposite of what we need from employers. It should be no surprise to any of us that when workers work in tenuous employment, such as day labor or temporary work, when there are fewer job alternatives and they can't simply leave or speak up easily about unsafe conditions, and those that are employed by companies who penalize workers for speaking up about safety, these are at greater risk of injury and death. As the Boston Global Forum scans the landscape of Massachusetts, recognizing employers who observe best practices for health and safety, at the heart must be a work environment that allows for maximum voice and job security, so workers can be a partner in promoting safety and health without fear of retribution. A union collective bargaining agreement ensures that security. Labor management, health and safety committees help ensure that that voice is at the table. A culture that encourages the reporting of hazards and injuries, and management and workers that are knowledgeable and well-trained about hazards and safety measures, trained in the language that they speak. These are some of the components of a safe, healthy workplace. Many of these components are in OSHA's proposed I2P2, or Injury Illness Prevention Program. And one other piece of ensuring a safe, healthy workplace is having employers that are willing to speak up and support federal and state measures that promote health and safety. An employer that is truly supportive of health and safety knows that if you have strong standards and good enforcement, that's going to deter other employers from violating laws. It's going to actually, in fact, keep all employers on a level playing field. We've seen this the case in Massachusetts. Last year, we worked together with employers, with temporary agencies, to pass a temporary worker right-to-know law that strengthened protections for temporary workers. Prior to that, we worked together with employers to pass protections because there was a floor finishing product that was highly flammable and killing workers. And employers stepped up and said, if all of us got rid of this chemical, all workers will be safe. And so we know that strong deterrence is a critical component of a health and safety workplace. We are also very pleased that Boston Global Forum has recognized that workers really play a critical role as well in ensuring a safe, healthy workplace, and that by speaking up, many of them put themselves at great risk of losing their job. And so we need to recognize that bravery by honoring them as well. And so we are very grateful for the efforts of the Boston Global Forum and look forward to working together to ensure that here in Massachusetts, across the country, and around the globe, workers can go to work and return home safe and healthy. Thank you very much.